The hottest crypto trade of the year is not Bitcoin, it is not Ether, it is XRP, the coin formerly known as Ripple, soaring more than 20% this year, becoming the third largest cryptocurrency out there, and there's big money behind this trade. Mackenzie Sagalos joins us now with that XRP trade and what, Mac, is driving all of this interest in XRP.
Well, what's actually been interesting is that during the doldrums of Q4, you actually saw a lot of people piling into those XRP ETFs, which is the exact opposite of what happens with the spot Bitcoin and Ether ETFs, where people really move in tandem with the price of the coin. But it was the fact that it is a way to have a higher percentage jump. So people were buying the dip with XRP in Q4, thinking this is a less crowded trade than Bitcoin or Ether. And then that proved out to be true just in the first 6 trading days of January.
We've also talked a lot about the blockchains and the ecosystems that are being built around many of these systems. We know kind of what they are with regard to Bitcoin. We certainly these days know what it is around Ethereum and Ether. What exactly is the big use case or driver? What's the practicality for XRP?
Well, with XRP and Solana, those are the two very popular altcoins right now where you're seeing a lot more interest. And with Solana, a lot of these different forms of tokenization. So we talk about tokenized dollars all the time in the context of stable coins. But now we're seeing a lot of people move into tokenizing money market funds. And Solana has become a blockchain use case for that. And XRP made its name in terms of cross-border payments. But what's been fascinating is even just this morning, Morgan Stanley, which has been especially progressive in terms of having their financial advisors suggest that clients get into the spot Bitcoin ETFs. They were the first bank to do that. They're now, just this morning, filing an S1 to launch their own Bitcoin and Solana ETFs because there is an appetite there.
So in the world where Bitcoin has become a bit mainstream, I'm not going to say the boomer, that's not my line. That's from somebody else. Is it possible that XRP and Solana are simply taking their place as kind of the next cool thing to know about? Or do they have a legitimately different and more relevant use case?
Well, in the context of just looking to make an investment that has bigger gains, you're not going to get that from Bitcoin just because it's already so established. You're not seeing the same kind of percentage moves. But what's fascinating with Solana especially is just that it moves faster. And so you're able to tokenize these funds, move, whether it's a money market fund that you're moving along or some other tokenized asset, it just is more efficient than Bitcoin as a base blockchain, which is why you're seeing more use cases.
But that's also the reason why, right? Solana is the big thing right now because it is a faster transaction mechanism.
Cheaper transactions
and
too.
Ether is a cheaper transaction mechanism as well. We talk about stable coins. If people have Coinbase wallets or Coinbase accounts, if they use the base network for now, many of those stable coins are transaction free. So the speed, is that what's driving a lot of this idea that cost and speed is going to be the defining factor for how people gravitate towards certain blockchains?
That's exactly it. And also with stablecoins, the Genius Act was passed into law last year, so we saw a lot more stablecoin issuers. But remember, it's not as though they only operate over one blockchain. You have different blockchains where you can move USDC, for example. And so Tron is another quick blockchain.
But at different costs, though,
at different price points. And so Solana is a lot more cost effective than moving money over the Ethereum blockchain at different points, which is why you're seeing people diversify away from the big two.
Times are changing. Do you think that? Do you sense, you talk to these people more than any of us, Mac, do you sense the times are changing or not? Is it just, in other words, are they looking for the next thing now that Bitcoin's been in a consolidation pattern, or are the real long-term holders, the true believers sticking with it?
I think absolutely we're seeing times change. You've got Vlad Tenev over at Robinhood talking about tokenizing equities. Brian Armstrong, part of why the Coinbase trade is doing so well, Goldman Sachs upgrading that to a buy, has to do with the fact that they're diversifying away from just being a cryptocurrency exchange, and they're getting into, ultimately they want to tokenize equities. For now, they're just offering equities trading, getting into prediction markets, which also has deep ties into the world of crypto. And so it is this evolution of the market, certainly. Yeah.